This chase started in Fort Lauderdale in the area of Broward Boulevard and about 3rd or 4th Avenue. I believe it was on the east side. Came westbound on Broward Boulevard, then northbound up on Sunrise.
There is a large response there from the Broward County Sheriff's Office as deputies look for the gunman. Investigators are not clear whether there is any connection between the victims and the shooting.
Immediately responded over here. We have not yet gotten a reference on why they are pursuing
right
this
now, a
vehicle.
police pursuit in Broward County. Dramatic images coming into the newsroom.
Surveillance cameras at the West Star gas station on the corner of Broward Boulevard and Northwest 7th Avenue capturing the moment a man is shot and killed on Christmas Day. Fort Lauderdale police said the suspect waited for the victim to arrive before gunning him down.
Of I-95 north of Sunrise, the next road that goes east and west there, and he intersected, got onto the I and onto the ramp there, and is now northbound. I'm looking out the window here just to catch my breath here and to look at the Cypress Creek there. Great. On that inside breakdown line, that's exactly correct. Just going past Cypress Creek Road here, northbound during rush hour, or just a preview of rush hour traffic.
My second wife was an X-ray technologist. I remember one time we were in bed and she says, "Papito, I think you have a hernia right there by your belly button." And I made fun of it. I'm like, "Nah, that's just my belly. I'm fat." But she kind of urged me, I think that was Friday and then Monday morning, to go to the doctor and check it out. And sure enough, I did have a big hernia. It was popping out. I really didn't know what it was, and I never bothered. I guess I was kind of scared to check what it was, but now we found out it was hernia. But the doctor said, "Listen, if it's not hurting you, then let's leave it alone." And it never hurt until the day it did. 3 years later, I'm invited to go to Daytona Beach for 4th of July. My sister and her boyfriend invites me and my parents, and I really didn't want to go, to be honest. I wasn't in the mood for socializing. Not that I was kind of depressed or nothing like that, but I just didn't want to go to the beach, be around people. But they convinced me, and I went. And I remember getting inside the water, and I got inside the water, just me and the waves. And the waves wasn't even that big, to be honest. The wave was just maybe reaching my kneecaps. And all of a sudden, this big wave was coming by, and that one probably was gonna hit my chest. So I'm like, dun, 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 like Superman. I put my chest out, you know what I'm saying? And I just moved my head back, and boom, that wave got me. And at first it didn't hurt me, but right after the water went down, I felt this pain, and I went on my knees right there in the water, and it wasn't that deep, but I was on my knees, and my sister's boyfriend saw, and my mother and my father saw me with this pain. At first I tried to play it off, maybe it's gas. My sister had just made this new recipe with mayonnaise and chicken salad or something like that. So I'm probably just like that, but the pain was immense, man. I never felt that pain ever before, man. I was stabbed and I flew out half out the car, and I got hit with brass knuckles right here. But the pain that I had that day, it was like, so I'm thinking, could it be the hernia? And yup, they rushed me to the hospital. Boom, they said a hernia just popped out. They put me to sleep for 15 seconds, and the nurse did something right, and they put it back inside, so the hernia wasn't popping out until later. Maybe they had to perform surgery in months, but she put it inside, and I remember coughing, or she said something to me, and I'm like, huh. It pulled. When I said, bah! The hernia popped again. It went boom. And I'm like, it's back. And now My head is hurting and I feel like vomiting, and they took me to the x-rays, and sure enough, she said that the hernia had popped and my inside was being poisoned. I was going to die if I waited 24 more hours. If I didn't go to the hospital that day, I would have died. If I would have went home just with a bellyache, I would have died because my whole inside was being poisoned. And boom, emergency surgery. And then, check this out. They sent me home maybe 7 days later. I'm in the bathroom. My home health care nurse is coming by to take me a bath. They used to come and clean me up. And they used to come and give me pills. I remember the pain. I was taking Oxy. I was almost hooked on Oxy for a minute, man. Or maybe, I don't know if I should admit it, but maybe I was. Kind of no extra strength, but my home health care nurse would watch over me, and she says, be careful with the Oxy. But that's the only thing that took away my pain. Even when they sent me home, and then I had this machine, this womb vac, I felt like the guy from the Justice League. It was a cyborg, you know, that he's half robot. That's how I felt, man, like the guy from the Justice League. I was walking around with that, with pain, and then one day I'm squatting to use the bathroom, and as I squat, blink, 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 all my staples start opening up. It started off with like 200 staples, and when it's all said and done, 3 emergency surgeries later, they took a skin graft from my leg and had to put it there. I almost died 2 times. I had a hole this big, the size of an American football. It covered my whole belly. I remember feeling the pain, when the wave hit me, bam, it was like a shotgun blast. Blow. It was horrible. I was literally gutted. I have no more belly button. I remember thinking to myself, man, I became a VeggieTales song, right? I need to tell you something. I don't have a belly button. I always felt insecure because in the streets, you know, when I was stabbed and I had a gastric bypass and gallbladder removal and kidney stones, and my stomach looks like it was like a railroad track exploded. Now it's just, I have no lower stomach. It's just blown out, you know. I remember thinking to myself, wow, in the streets, no stab wounds could get me, no gang rumbles, no car accidents, but a wave got me, a wave. I remember telling God, listen, if I survive this, I'm gonna have to lie and say I was in Thailand and a tsunami got me, you know what I'm saying? Because a wave got me. Doctor said that I wasn't going to be able to walk for 3 years. The least amount of time was maybe 1 year. But it was that severe, 3 years, and I was blowing my savings, you know. Thank God that I read one of Dave Ramsey's book, and he says we should have at least 3 months' rent saved in the bank. That's what kind of saved me. But to be honest, I felt down. I felt tired, you know. I didn't want to live no more. It wasn't like I wanted to commit suicide, but to be honest, I was just exhausted. How long can someone live with a broken heart anyways, you know? So I thought this was it. I felt alone again. You know, nobody came to visit me. I'm a preacher, and no pastors came to anoint me. Nobody came and hugged me. I felt down, man. I felt down. And I remember the people that did call, they were saying, remember Job's story? Remember the story of Job? And I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't want to remember the story of Job. That story is horrible. They would say, God is not done with you yet. We need to be careful the way we speak to people that are in mourning, because God is not done with you yet? So you mean if God was done with me, he would kill me? He would unplug me after he was finished with me? Remember Job's story. Job would just suffer a diabolical attack by Satan himself just because Satan wanted to challenge God. I don't want to remember that story. No, but they say, but he got all his material back plus more. But No car in the world and no mansion in the world can ever replenish your lost kids. He lost Job Jr. in that battle. He lost little Melissa. He lost little Selena. He lost kids. Remember Job's story? Now you remember it. And you know what? When people would say that, I hated that story even more. You know, I've read about it, and I think I've done 2 sermons about that story. But it wasn't until I was in the cave, in a severe bout of depression once again, I really realized what that Bible verse means, you know? What that story, why that story was there for us, you know? Because the Bible says, and Job lived 120 years after the diabolical attack. 120 years after? For me, that would have been torture. That would have been hell, man. You know, because I wake up and I think of all my kids that were gone. You know, and sometimes we look at the wife of Job as she's the bad guy in the story. She's the villain. But wait a minute, she said curse God and die. Hold up, she just lost 10 of her kids. I curse God for less than that. I just didn't get that story when we would use it to console the saints. But then I looked up the word in Hebrew, and God blessed Job 120 years. And the word blessed there literally means, and God made him happy 120 years after that, in spite of. And you know what? I think that's exactly what God is doing with me. In spite of all the hell that I've been through, in spite of all the trials and tribulations and the self-hate, God is there with me. So then after all that, God gave me a love interest. For those of you guys that know me, man, I love hard, you know. I'm old school, I like to love, you know. I bring roses still and write love letters and sing to the girls over the phone. So I didn't want to live anymore, and then boom, out of nowhere, you know, Cupid shot my heart with an arrow, and I preached at a church in Texas. And I remember seeing her. I preached for 1 week, and I remember seeing her in the audience. She came with her little daughter every day, and she held the Bible in her hand. It was kind of dope to see that. Most people have the Bibles in their phones now, but she had an old school Bible, and me too. That's how I do it. I carry my old school Bible too. But I remember looking at her as I was preaching, and I told the Lord, I said, God, I want someone like that, you know what I'm saying? I singled her out. At the end, I saw her leaving. She looked at me. That was at the end of the 7th day. She looked at me from far. I never got her name, never got nothing, but I always felt there was a connection there. And at the end, I waved bye to her, and she went like that. She blew me a kiss from far, this stranger, like saying thank you for your sermons. And I remember that night I went to the hotel and I got on my knees and I said, Lord, please, Jesus. I know she would never love me because that girl's hot, man. But I said, can you please hook me up with someone at least like her? You know, I didn't dare to shoot for the stars, but I told God, someone like her. And that night on the gram, right, she requested me as a friend, or she followed me on Instagram. And I said, Lord, this is my what, this is my chance. I'm gonna make my move. And to make the long story short, later on I got to get her phone number and we fell in love. Cause you know I got game. You know. But I would give her and her daughter Bible studies, and I would send her old school love letters through the mail. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let no emoji do the talking for me. Nah, man. I'm a wordsmith. Nah, me. She eventually came down from Texas. My dream girl, man. I don't know why I have Kennedy Space Center on my bucket list. My counselor said, you need to have better bucket lists, like going to Paris. But I had Kennedy Space Center, and I lived in Florida almost all my adult life, so I'm like, I could have went to Kennedy Space Center, but she came down for my birthday weekend, and I was still walking with a cane, but she took me to Kennedy Space Center. She bought the tickets, and she made one of my dreams come true. She made two of my dreams come true, because one of them was to go to Kennedy Space Center, and another one was to... It was all good in the hood. She met my parents. They loved her. We went on a picnic. She likes puzzles, so I made a big puzzle of me and her. That was a good, 4 days. But then she went back home, and she told me she wasn't ready for a serious relationship right now, that she still had to do a lot of things. She made me take my cell phone, and she said, what name do you have me under in your contacts? And I said, Bunny. She said, let's erase that. And I erased it, and she made me put my future wife. But then she said, yes, not now, papito. So, she let me go, you know. It broke my heart, but it made me love again. It made me love life. I was saying that I wanted to dream again and smile again, etc., etc. And here I had the chance, and because of her, I would look forward to waking up in the mornings now again, you know. I couldn't preach. And now that I think about it, she was my angel. If nothing ever happens with us, and if I never see her again, I know that God sent an angel. And come to think about it, my whole life, my 2 suicide attempts, and with Bunny, God always sent me an angel. Because when I was gonna commit suicide with a gun in my mouth, the elderly lady knocked on the door, my angel. And then when I was in Andrews University and I wanted to kill myself, my homeboy called me. Pastor J. Figs served as the part of my angel that time. And Bunny, when the smoke cleared, I found out that God was always with me and is with me. He was always there, taking care of me. No matter what hell I've been through. It's like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. King Nebuchadnezzar said, I see 4 in the fire, and one of them is like the Son of God. He was always there with me. He loved me that much to even send angels. How fortunate am I? I started to fall in love with myself. I want to say again, but maybe for the very first time. It just took me 20 years to realize that I am worth a king's ransom. I am worth the fight. I am to die for. And to think about it, my story is like Job's story. God gave Job everything, double, even 10 more kids. But the doctor said it was gonna take 3 years. 3 years for me to walk again. And God cut that in half, or more than half. And 6 months later, I'm walking and I'm preaching, and here I am ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm excited. I can't wait for the next phone call, the next invitation, the next love letter, the next date. I can't wait to see what God has planned for me next. We're under quarantine, and the whole world is going through a global pandemic, and the coronavirus got us all stuck in the house. You know what I'm saying? But instead of being depressed, and instead of woe is me. Now I'm writing. I just finished my new book, Tears of a Clown, and I'm writing another book, and I'm writing a screenplay. And man, I'm just excited, man, for real. Satan's gonna try to take me down, but listen, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. It's proven by my life story. It's proven. I'm here. I'm still standing. I'm still fighting. I'm hoping I'm giving hope to somebody that feels hopeless. I made it. The referee never count me out. Under the quarantine, Satan thought he can get me. Now I'm going to the gym, and check this out. check those arms, baby. You know what I mean? And for the first time in my life, I can say I love myself. I understand. Maybe I was called to take the hits. I think God saw that I was strong enough to handle it. I took one for the team, for the youth, for those that are depressed, for those that have been bullied. It happened to me so I can warn you, so you won't have to live that way. By God's grace, I'm still alive. If I was to write the Willy Ramos story, I don't think I would have wrote it any different. It made me who I am. That's why I preach the way I preach. That's probably why I love the way I love. I like who I am. I like who I become. Lost it all. But the Bible says, if you lose it all for my sake, you will gain it. In the new kingdom, I look forward to living happily ever after, but in the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy the spoils of war. I serve a God that will allow me to enjoy the spoils of war. I finally realized that God doesn't love me because I'm a ghetto preacher. I know that God would love me even if I never picked up a Bible, even if I never preach again. God just loves me. Not only that, He wants me. He wants me to live happily ever after with Him in the new kingdom. A place with no more tears, no more sickness, no more scars or broken hearts. I'm gonna be there. I already went to hell. I'm not going twice.
Jesus loves me, this I know, 'cause He took me out the ghetto. I left the streets, now I'm in His gang. Going to live my life in His hand. To live
resurrection. Life, death and resurrection. A punto de tirar la toalla, en lo más profundo yo caí. Pero eso fue ayer, en el bajo mundo yo viví. Pero eso fue ayer, en el pasado ha quedado. Porque ayer yo morí, pero hoy he resucitado. Esta es mi vida, mi muerte y mi resurrección. Soy una bendición en vida, mi muerte y mi resurrección. Everybody, this is my life. Life, death and resurrection. This is the story of my life. Life, death and resurrection.
Llámame Lázaro, fui muerto, ahora vivo. Como cuando a Fiti le metieron 9 tiros. Soy bendecido, también y testifico en los caseríos de Chicago y Puerto Rico. Soy de la jungla, resucité la tumba. Willy Ramos, predicador de los bundas. Si tú me vi ayer, tú no me reconoces. Que somos pescador de hombres como los 12. Chacho, papo de la...